In the last session, we have seen up to a while loop or something. Now we can switch to for the fundamentals which are required for all practicals, like server or hardware interfacing. In a Pico, we need such kind of fundamentals. Now, coming to the same code, right? So here we have written a while loop where while is the keyword, then in brackets you are writing condition, then putting a colon. Instead of brackets, we are giving indent. That is something called a space or tab, right? So you can give n number of spaces. This condition is all the statements inside while loop should have same number of spaces or tabs, right? If even if one space is missing, here you can see the last statement is neither inside nor outside. There it will give an error. That is something called as indentation error, right? So here you can see this indentation error, right? And it is even showing it at which line you are creating this kind of error, right? There we just rectify the statement. Put another space here. This way it works, right? Now coming to the other loop, other type of loops, uh, what we can check is for for in general, whenever you're writing in C, we write as for where I is considering the variable I is equal to 0, then I less than 10 or something. Thereafter, let's say I plus plus, right? So this is how I'll be writing a for loop inside C program, right? But in Python, we have something different. Just I'll comment this part. So this for loop we need to repeat in your Now is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry. So here you can observe is, so in C programming, what we had is we're initializing some variable, then we were putting some conditions in second by putting comma, then in third parameter we were uh, writing some incrementing statement, right, which will get executed, incremental decrement statement, which will get executed in every iteration, right? The same way, uh, there is a function which will pass values to this I variable in every iteration in the format which we have written in this C, right? Say we are writing, say it is your I should initialize with 0, then it should uh, keep incrementing until it reaches 10, right? It's repeating this, that is a condition there. If you want, it will increment it by 1 to whatever value you are passing as third parameter to this function, right? Now, say want, we can change those variables. I will say this is executing till 5, right? Once it reaches 5, it will come out of the loop, right? Or I will say it is incrementing till 15, and I will increase this, change this step size, which in previous case it was incrementing by 1. Now it will be incrementing by 2, right? Now, one second, if I save this, so there you can see it is starting from 0 and incrementing to 2, 4, 5. Every time it is incrementing by value 2. So when it reaches 15, it will come out of the loop, right? Similar to that of C, just the syntax is varying. The working is will be same. Now, uh, so once this is done, we shall go further. Is your functions. So the functions will be similar to that of your C program. Just slight syntax will be changing. So in C, when generally we will be declaring a function, what we'll be writing is return type int, then function name, right? Then we will be passing some parameters int I, comma, int j, this way, right? Then there will be curly braces, right? There, inside that we will be writing some kind of print. Inside function, right? So this is the syntax of your C program, right? Now, just if we are removing this, we need to put a colon here, right? Now, as we have previously discussed, we don't give any variable name, sorry, data type. I'm just removing this in, and this, right? So here generally we'll be giving a void or some kind of integer in C programming, but here we need not to specify. what data type your function is returning, right? You can just write def, that is means that indicates you are writing definition of a function. And even if you want, you can return directly by writing return statement. Return anything. Right. So this is a return statement. And control. So we have written a function. So if I execute, it will just give me blank. Can anyone say why it will not print anything? So here you can see it is just printing blank. So can anyone guess why it was not printing anything? Uh, am I still not audible to you all?
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, how to run the function, sir? We are able to run the file, the Python file, but instead that we have function. It's not called, I think.
That is what. Just I want to check whether is anyone at least attentive or not. So there, just we have declared the function. So we didn't call the function. So to calling function, just simply we can call this function name and passing some values to it. So, so these are two values which I am passing to this variables I and j, right? So there, just the Python. Okay, print statement is wrong. So this is a print statement in function, right? So if you observe again, so first thing you are defining a function, then inside that you are passing two parameters. That parameters we can print. What I'll do is I'll print those parameters also. Print.
Sir, what does this return do, sir?
Actually, it will return value, whatever string you are returning. So that also we shall see. Don't need to worry. I'm printing this I here, and here I will print value of j, or I'll just even mention it something like this. I is equal to this. Equal to this. Right. Now here you can observe that uh, we didn't specify what is our I and j, which means whether it is accepting integer or float or anything. So whatever value you are passing will be assigned to this variables. So that we can just see here in the printing in your print statement. So here you can observe your I is being assigned with 23 and second variable is assigned with 453. Right. Then similar to this, integers, we can assign any data type. So instead of 23, what I'll do is I will write I is equal to hello or something, some string, and j is equal to some float 5.56737. Right. So it will accept it as it is. So here you can observe that the statement, it is getting printed where I is being assigned as hello and j is assigned as 5.67, right? So Python will take care what value is being assigned to that function, right? You need not to specify the data type. Now, there into this, what next thing we need is say what is being asked is return function, the return statement. So the value which is getting returned from a variable can be assigned to this anything, right? Right? Something x is equal to function. You can just check what is coming into my x, print x, right? Control x, y, enter. So there you can see whatever anything is getting returned from your function being assigned to your variable x. So this similarly we can change it and check, cross check. Someone raised the hand. Is there any doubt? This data. So is there any doubt? You can just turn on your mic and just ask question, not an issue. Um, Now, just I'll so these are some fundamental things which we will be using in our further sessions. So I have just uh, covered this part. There now coming to your Raspberry Pi's physical hardware related things. So what uh, thing you need to observe is whenever I have shown RPi, you should have observed which has so here is your Raspberry Pi where onto your Raspberry Pi there are some physical header pins. I think this is visible. Right. Can you see this RPi onto your screen? Yes, no.
No, sir.
Um, just do one thing. Temporarily, I'll stop this showing. Now is it visible?
Yeah, file is not visible, sir. CSV file.
No, I'm not talking about any CSV file. Can you see your Raspberry Pi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh?
But not full screen mode, sir. But not in full screen mode. We are able to see, but not in full screen mode.
You can change the mode. I think in the right bottom corner, there you can see three dots in your screen. In that, you can change the layout. In that layout, you can select Spotlight. There you can see it in full screen mode. Or in the right top corner, you can see that
Yes,
change
you
the.
got it, sir.
So there, on this RPi, you have some physical pins. That is something called as header pins, chip, in which it has some kind of general purpose input output pins. That is something called as GPIO, as well as few VCC, ground, or some standard protocols, say SPI pin or serial pins, that way, right? So these, whatever you can see, these are general purpose input output pins, can be configured as input as well as output, right? Now, say for basic usage of this GPIO pins, first you shall do some kind of output activity, right? So what kind of output activity we can do is we can control some LED. So here we have device. So this is just developed for such kind of experiment purpose. It's even developed by students. Uh, so it has LEDs on it, right? And where we can just connect a VCC and ground to control this LED instead of breadboard. Uh, just to save the time and connection errors, we have this thing. Just what I'll do is I'll connect a ground pin and I will connect it to ground of this Raspberry Pi. Now, how to know this ground and VCC and all those things is you can just search on your mobile phone or some device by typing as RPi GPIO, RPi or pinout. So just by typing RPi pinout, you will get hundreds of images in your Google. So in that you can just click any of the image. There you can see around 40 pins description, right? So in that 40 pins description, you can observe what pin is for which kind of usage. So as you can see, this first pin is pin with voltage 3.3. The second pin is adjacent to it, that is 5 volt supply. Then the next pin is adjacent to pin number 1. Okay. Then this is pin number 3, this is pin number 4, this is pin number 5, this is pin number 6. So this way we have 40 pins, and each pin is specifically designed for different kind of voltage or some kind of application, right? Now those pins specifications can be obtained by searching on Google as RPi pinout, right? In that pinout you can see pin number 6 is a ground. So what I did is I have connected this pin number 6 to ground of the board which we have developed, right? Now I'll connect some, say, pin number 3 to one of the LED. So by default this pin number 3 has voltage 1, so the LED is on. So here you can observe the LED is already turned on, right? Uh, Now to just check, I think now it is properly visible. Now it is better. So into this, the connection is done. Now what we need to do is do some code by which we can control this LED. So once again, I will just start the presentation. So now you can observe the screen of Raspberry Pi. So once again, we shall switch back to terminal. Right. So here what I'll be doing is I'll create a new file. Here what I will say is nano. This is led dot 1.5. Right. So in this, what all things we need to do is, first thing we need to import some libraries which will be controlling this header pins, right? So first thing we'll be importing is import r5 dot GPIO as a variable. So then I will also import time there. Now into this, whatever library we have imported, this r5.o, sorry,
Sir,
r5.pio.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
What is this library, sir? RPI.GPIO.
So this is a library being provided by Raspberry Pi organization itself, uh, which can be used to control the GPIO pins. Means that general
Sir,
purpose input output pins which we have connected to this LED.
okay, to control input output devices, sir.
Yes, to control input output pins, header pins. So,
Okay, sir.
so these header pins can be configured as input as well as output. So as we have connected an LED, we need to configure this particular pin number 3 we have connected. So I need to configure this pin number 3 as an output pin. Then I can make that voltage of that particular header pin as high or low, right? So high voltage will be 3.3 and low voltage will be 0, right? So by making this uh, to control this kind of GPIO pins, we are importing this library as rpi.gpio as some object. So that object name can be anything. It's a variable. So I'll say as G or O or whatever thing or anywhere, right? Now, using this object, we will be calling the functions in the library which we have imported. So the first function that we will be using is this g dot g dot set mode is a function. which will be saying which particular numbering system you will be using. So as I said, there are different numbering systems. Just one second, I'll just show it here.
Decimal, hexadecimal.
No, no, no. This pin numbering system. So I'll just, can you see the screen, right? Browser.
Yes, sir.
R5 pin out. If I search, I'll see hundreds of images which are related to your Raspberry Pi. Right now, so if I click this, so here itself you can observe. Right. So there, your pin number one is 3.3 volt. Your pin number three is GPIO 2. So there you can see there is a physical pin numbering system and a Broadcom numbering system. So this GPIO02 is a number of uh, the IC manufacturer where it's given, right? So general purpose input port pins are defined by Broadcom manufacturer. This processor which you can see is manufactured by Broadcom. So they gave some kind of numbering system, but for their developers convenience or some other purpose, they have aligned it in different way. So this header pin number 3 is actual Broadcom's pin number 2. Header pin number 5 is Broadcom's pin number 3. So this way there are two different numbering systems. The first numbering system that you can either consider as Broadcom's numbering system as GPIO2, GPIO3, GPIO4 or something, or we can use direct physical numbering system, that is board numbers, right? So the left top is pin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, alternately zigzag way the numbers are being assigned, right? So we shall use board numbering system. So for that we shall just pass those values to this function that we will say we are using g dot board. So this is what type of pin numbering system we are going to use. Instead of that, if you are willing to use Broadcom numbering system, uh, you may need to write something like this here something, right? So this kind of this Broadcom numbering system is quite complex to use because first we need to check what is the Broadcom number and what is its physical number, then do the connection. Instead, we can just directly use this as board numbering system, that is physical number system. Then what next we will be using is we shall declare a variable for pin number. Pin, I will say it is pin number 3 which we are playing with. Then uh, we need to set this pin number, this particular physical pin, as output. For that we have a function g dot setup, in which I will say this is pin comma g dot out, right? Now inside this, what next thing we need to write is p dot output is a function which will say whether this pin is to be set as high or low, right? So just I'll check whether all these functions are working properly or not. Hide this. That's fine. Right. So just it is giving a warning that if many people are simultaneously trying to use the same session, it will give an warning. So instead of just to avoid this warning, just we will add that part to it. Dot set warnings. Yes, whenever we are using same physical pin by two different programs, uh, it creates a warning. It generates a warning. If this code is executed by some other application, the application's execution will be stopped because of that exception, runtime exception. So here if I run, there by default it was pin values is high, right? Now what I will do is instead I'll just make it as g dot output as pin comma 0. If it will turn on, then it will turn off. Um, uh, full stop and stop comma. So here you can observe in this video so in this physical pin header, whatever we had, the LED is
Sir,
turned off. Uh, can you observe the hardware? There are two different sessions running. One is the webcam and another is your Raspberry Pi session. Right. So just you can
sir, we are not able to see the screen, sir. We are able to see this file. Yeah.
one second. So now can you see?
Yes, sir.
Uh, so this physical pin which you can see, it is turned on, off, right? So once again, if you want to make it on, you need to just make that pin value as high, right? So just what I'll do is I will just run the code by changing the so there you can see this particular physical pin which we are which we have connected will turn on for a second, then turn off. So that way, just I have modified the code and executed. Right. So this way, once again, I will show you the code what I have written, which is making this LED on and off. Is uh, so here you can observe it again. So this is the code. So first thing, I'm importing it. Then setting body is the same which we have discussed till now. Setup is same. So here we have a function which is making that pin value as high. This one will indicate the pin voltage will be 3.3 volt, right? Then after that making it high, we are asking to wait. Is the time library which we have imported. Time dot sleep is a function which will pause the execution for second, whatever value we are passing. So if I want it for 2 seconds, I'll write it 2. Right. Then here I can make it off again. So if I once again run this, so you can observe it on LED is it will just 1 second if you see. So the LED will be turned on for 2 seconds and it will stop. So here if you can observe.
Sir, can you show the code, sir? LED1.py code.
1 second. So this is a code. So
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I'll copy, sir. I'll give me 1 minute.
you can even better take a screenshot of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if someone can extend it this same code to repeat this activity for 10 times, means the LED should turn on and off for 10 times. Just let me someone try it. I shall wait for 2-3 minutes. At least you can say orally what thing we need to do to repeat it for 10 times. So we shall do it. So as we have already seen loops, we can use a while loop or for loop, whichever you want. So I'll better use for loop. Right. So in for we have for I in range, in which I will say to repeat it for 10 times. Right. So this is turning on the LED. This is turning off. So sorry, waiting for 2 seconds, then turning off. So instead of 2 seconds, I'll make it as 1 second. There, here I will say again. Uh, so here instead of 5 times, so you only accepts float, means it will wait for just half second, right? So I'm just saving this, and if I execute, so here you can observe the LED will be turning on and off for 10 times. It will be just keeping on blinking for 10 times. Once again, if I execute the same thing, on, on. So this way, you can write beautiful codes for controlling different kind of hardware. Right now, I have connected 4 LEDs. I can connect. I have connected one LED. I can connect multiple LEDs, and even we can configure this thing as input. Now just now we have configured it as an output, as we have connected an LED. Right. Consider we have some kind of sensor. So here you can observe we have a PIR sensor. That is passive infrared sensor, where you can see this is just a dome which will uh, collect the IR rays, and so there you can see it has a small aperture, right? So in this aperture, this whatever mirror kind of thing you can see, there are two say parts which will keeping on reading, sorry, and sensing the infrared rays. Based on it, it generates some voltages. So the difference in the voltages of these two parts of the aperture uh, will be used to decide whether there is a motion in the surrounding or not. So you can even say it can be called as motion sensor or something, right? So say consider uh, it is active device. So first we need to do is there are 3 header pins. So the first one is, I think it's the 3 header pins. So one pin is for connecting VCC, another is connected ground, and the middle pin, which you can see, is one which will be giving the output, right? Whether if there is some motion in its surrounding, it will give a pulse. So what I'll do is I will connect the VCC 5 volt supply. So this is how connected a 5 volt supply. Then a ground pin to pin number 6 of this, right? Then what I'll do is I'll connect this pin number 3 and pin number 7 to this output pin, right? So now this way I have connected this PIR sensor. So if there is no motion in its in its surrounding, it will be normal, right? So for again, if you just get back to this terminal. So what thing we need to see is, first we need to write the same similar code. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this file. To copy, I just type cp led1.py to some file sense.py. Sensor. No, fine. So here we already have this kind of code where what we are doing is we are once again setting the warning as false. We are setting the mode as board pin number. Then here we can change this pin number 3 to 7 as we are connecting this PR sensor to pin number 7. Right. Now the setup whatever we have used, instead of out we need to make it as input. So I will say this is in. Right. Then now we don't know when the pin, like whether when there will be motion in front of it or not, right? So for that, what I'll do is instead of for, I will use a while loop. While, so let it be running for infinite time while true, right? Now instead of this output function, we will be using a input function. G dot input. Sorry, G dot input. So this output function, we were passing two parameters. First one is the pin number. Second one is the value, whether that pin voltage should be high or low, right? So when we are reading the value, we need not to specify what the pin value is to be. We will just read it and check what it is. So here I'll do is I'll just read this pin, right? So I'll just remove all these lines, or instead I'll do is I'll read it for infinite time after every 1 second. Right. Now, as I'm saying, I'm reading this file, sorry, this pin's value. I need to store it somewhere. So I'll take a variable x and I will assign value to it. So x is equal to g dot input, right? So I'll just do one thing is I'll print this x value, printing my x, right? So here you can see if I run this code, Python PRSN. Oh, sorry, I didn't pass any value to this function. You should ask it to wait for 1 second. So continuously, if you see, it is 0 0 0 0 0 0. But when you see, if I am doing some kind of motion in front of it, the values which you can observe here is 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. So what thing you have observed is whenever there is a motion in front of it, there will be a pulse generated by this particular sensor. Means uh, whiteboard. Is there any possibility that you can this is looking something complex? Just try to draw it.
Sir, what exactly is happening, sir, here by using a input pin? What we are doing, sir?
So we are trying to read the uh, voltage generated by this sensor. So, so
Okay,
whenever
sir.
there is motion, uh, so I'll just create it something. So hopefully you can see this.
So we are
So for
interpreting that voltage
pulse,
as zeros and ones, sir.
so that sensor will generate a 3.3 voltage, 3.3 volt uh,
As one.
pulse, 3.3 volts pulse for our prescribed duration. So there is a pot behind it. By turning that pot, we can decide the duration for which the value should be high when there is a motion in front of it, right? So if here you can see, if I'm just giving some motion, it is say on for some 7 to 8 seconds. Then it is going again low, right? So this pulse duration can also be varied by uh, rotating the pot. So here you can see, I have reduced the time, right? So here if you observe, the pulse is just for 3 seconds. So 1 second if I give motion, 1, 2, 3, it's just 2 seconds. So it is in between 2 and 3, as the pot is not to that precise. It can be increased or decreased as per requirement, right? So based on this uh, pulse which is generated by the sensor, we can do our further activities. Just I have used the sensor to show you how input and output configuration can be done in your R5, and how we can read a value or you can write the values to that particular general purpose input output pins, right? So there, just if I stop the execution, you can observe the code. So it's the first three statements are same. So what thing we are doing is importing the library, setting a warning using set warnings function. Set warnings is false. Then we are saying that we are using board numbering system. Then if you want to control some hardware, we will set the pin as output. Or if you want to sense or some read from some digital device, digital sensor, uh, we will set that pin as input, right? Now, uh, if you want to read the value of the pin, you will be using a function as input. If you want to write the value to that physical pin, if you want to set some voltage, you will use g dot output function, right? So using these two different functions, we will be setting the value or reading the value, and using setup function, we will be setting the pin as input or output, right? This way, we can use the general purpose input output pins to read some physical sensors value, or we can control some hardware, right? So instead of that LED, if I connect some relay and if I'm driving a motor, I can do whatever I want. Means I can turn on the pump, I can control any external devices which are running on AC, right? Uh, by isolating the hardware with a relay, right? So this way we can control any hardware, or even we can sense from different sensors. Right now we don't have much time so that we can cover complex sensors. If time permits, we can repeat this sensors activity in tomorrow's session or something. But in the next session, we will be seeing how these particular physical pins can be controlled remotely. Now, till now we didn't include any content related to cloud services. In the afternoon session, we will be using AWS cloud service to uh, connect this physical hardware from our mobile phone or some other devices, right? Uh, so till now this is related to hardware. So if you have any doubts related to this part, so you can ask. We have 10 more minutes.
Sir, for afternoon session, do we need to have AWS account, sir, for access?
If you have, it's okay. Even if you don't have,
Okay.
it's not a big complex thing, because uh, the activities which we will be configuring in AWS is just for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. If you want, even I can share that video recording also, how we can
Okay, sir.
configure those things. You can do it later when your account gets activated, because AWS account activation takes approximately 24 hours or something
Okay,
minimum.
okay, sir.
And there
Okay,
we
sir.
also need
Yeah, already I'm having account, sir, but it's
so
not in
if you
use.
have an account, you can use it, not an
Yeah,
issue.
I'm not
Just what we'll be
using.
using is setting up a EC2 machine. Means it is similar to that our Ubuntu machine or your Raspberry Pi's operating system. Similar commands, same commands we'll be using, but for running a HTTP or MQTT servers. That's it. So till now, this was related to hardware, GPIO's configuration, setting it as in and out, and sensing some physical sense as a physical things, or controlling the hardware. Right? So in this hardware part, whatever we have done, if you have any doubt related to it, you can keep asking. Yes, no. At least if you don't have any doubts,
No, sir.
you can say you don't have any doubt.
No, sir. We don't have doubts, sir.
Okay, good. So I will
Thank
keep
you,
the
sir.
session on. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you, sir. After break, let us meet at 2 p.m.
yeah. So I'll be back at sharp by 2 p.m. Till then, I'll just keep this session on. You can observe the code, or you can connect to this Raspberry Pi. And if you have any doubt, you can directly message me to my WhatsApp number as 7719977818. So I may not be sitting in front of the PC, so you can just text me, or you send me a WhatsApp message, so I can reply you. If you have any queries in this 1 hour, you can rectify those things, so that in session we don't waste much time, right? So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.